I was asked to write an introduction to this book, to briefly explain how it came about. I tried to honor the request before my deadline, but instead I found myself sitting in front of a blank document for weeks. I'm a journalist. I worked for Russian television for many years, where I was a reporter who went to places where there was unrest. I had to leave TV when propaganda began replacing freedom of speech, and loyalty to the authorities took the place of professionalism. After the annexation of Crimea and the outbreak of war in southeastern Ukraine in 2014, I left Russia. I became an independent journalist. I have my own YouTube channel with 1.5 million subscribers. The videos have tens of millions of views. Even after leaving Russia, though, I've been filming and reporting about Russia. No matter how you look at it, I have no other motherland and never will. On the 24th of February 2022, it felt as if that had all lost its meaning. I never thought I would have to tell my children, "Don't shout, kids, a war started this morning." And I certainly never thought I'd have to tell my children that the country that we call our motherland had started the war. Half our family lives in Ukraine, in Kiev. My brother and sister, their families and children, and my elderly uncle who was born in 1939. That means that my state, both formally and acting in my name too, went to war against people I love. My work as a journalist helped me pull myself together, but all ended up on the very darkest pages of a history textbook, so I decided to document what was happening to people during the war. I've hardly been home since February 2022. I've traveled, had conversations and filmed. I planned business trips and scheduled meetings, but some of the people in this book came into my life in inconceivable ways. At a border crossing, on a train, on the street, through friends of friends of friends, and from unintentional eavesdropping and random questions. The war has taken away lives and spun all of us into a spiral of perpetual hatred, but I managed, step by step, to make my way through a landscape that seemed absolutely unendurable, unforgivable, and disastrous. I know how difficult it was for some of the people in this book to meet and talk. Sometimes the problem lay in speaking with me in particular. For some, that was because I'm from Russia. For others, it was because I'm a foreign agent in Russia.
Translator's note. Russia's foreign agent legislation went into effect in November 2012. The designation, иностранный агент, which means foreign agent, has been applied to hundreds of organizations and individuals, including the author, who was added to the list in September 2022.
But these tremendous people always found the strength within to do so. And we talked. That's how a film came out in summer 2022 on my YouTube channel. To be honest, I thought I'd feel relieved when the film came out. I'd stop living with everything I'd heard and seen that remained in my head, and then I'd release the stories from my heart. I'd exhale. But the film came out, and my people, the ones in the film and the ones whose stories hadn't made it through the final editing, weren't letting me go. I dreamed about them. Their voices sounded in my head constantly. I realized I wouldn't be able to cope and that I needed to write everything down. And so I began writing this book during summer of 2022. And new figures kept coming into my life as I was writing it. The war wasn't ending. It was, however, getting more and more difficult not to let myself grow accustomed to it. But I wrote everything down. That's how this book came into being. And so, when I was asked to write an introduction, I sat for several weeks in front of an empty screen. I didn't feel quite right. I just couldn't grasp what was happening to me and why I couldn't write a single word. I was saved by a note from one of the women in the book who wrote to me after reading the manuscript. She wrote, "Each of us went through our own terrible and tragic but unique story. You went through them all." Yes, that's right.